It's gotten late because work dragged on. I should head home soon. It was late at night and I was walking home quickly. Walking alone on a deserted street at night is dangerous. I need to get home quickly. Just as I was thinking this, a dull pain suddenly struck my back. As I fell, I managed to catch a glimpse of the perpetrator, a woman holding a metal bat and glaring at me. Despite the darkness, her flashy attire was unmistakable. I had been wary of strange men, never expecting to be attacked by a woman. I was shocked. Being Ethan's wife is unforgivable. The one who truly loves Ethan is me. Ethan belongs to me. You should just disappear. While calling out my husband's name, the woman beat me mercilessly with the metal bat. I thought, what does that mean? I wanted to ask her many things. But repeated blows prevented me from even raising my voice. I fell to the ground in pain, my consciousness fading. When I regained consciousness, the woman was gone. And dawn had broken while I lay on the ground. As I stood up, intense pain coursed through my body. Blood dripped onto the ground. Holding my head in pain, my palm came away covered in blood. I realized I was bleeding from the head. I could smell the iron. I tried to call an ambulance with my smartphone. But unfortunately, the battery was dead. I thought, why now of all times? Looking around, I could see the law office where my husband, Ethan, worked. Despite trembling and staggering, I desperately dragged myself towards the law office. Fortunately, it was already open. Ethan must be there by now. I thought, that woman, she'll see what it means to mess with a lawyer's wife. With my husband's power, I'll make sure that woman gets what she deserves. If it's true that she and Ethan were in love, I'll confront Ethan looking like this. With that thought, I pushed myself to keep going. Finally, I stepped into the office. The lawyer who greeted me was shocked at the sight. No wonder, I was covered in blood. Call lawyer number 3189, my husband. I relayed the number Ethan had given me. You might want to call an ambulance. Just do it. Lawyer number 3189. I snapped, out of patience. The lawyer, looking confused, said, "There's no such registered lawyer." What, really? That couldn't be. Ethan definitely works at this law office. I've seen him going to work here. Yes. Besides, lawyer registration numbers now have 5 digits, not 4. Only lawyers registered over 50 years ago have a 4-digit registration number. That would mean they're quite elderly. Of course, Ethan isn't that old. He's still in his 30s. Even those registered over 50 years ago wouldn't have that number. The smallest number from the first training session in 1947 is 5251. No. I'm sure, that's what my husband told me. That can't be. Suddenly, my vision swayed and I collapsed again. I couldn't believe any of it. Was Ethan not really a lawyer? That can't be. My in-laws were proud of their lawyer son. I've seen his lawyer badge. He seemed to know quite a bit about the law. Maybe Ethan had mistakenly told me his lawyer number. Could that be? He had repeated 3189 so many times. With my head bleeding from the beating, coherent thought was impossible. My vision blurred. Are you all right? I'm calling an ambulance right now. Hello. I heard the lawyer calling for help as my consciousness drifted away. My name is Aaron Powell. My husband, Ethan Powell, is a lawyer. At least, that's what he has claimed since we met. We met on a dating app and quickly progressed to marriage. My friends envy me for having a lawyer husband, but I think it's awful. I'm a lawyer, you know. Are you going against me? He would say this arrogantly whenever he disliked something. He used to be so kind before we got married. He would often talk at length about how hard he worked to become the lawyer his parents wanted. But being a lawyer means you're making good money, right? People would say. But until recently, Ethan wasn't earning much. His income was almost like a janitor's. Apparently, he didn't have many clients. Being a lawyer wasn't as great as it seemed. Our marital relationship was not good, dominated by his arrogance. I was already regretting marrying Ethan. One day, Ethan started using social media as a handsome lawyer. He was quite good-looking. With his sharp rhetoric, he discussed legal issues, gender politics, and political correctness debates, quickly gaining followers. Though it seemed he was only echoing the majority opinion online, it appeared to be effective. Thanks to social media, Ethan's client base seemed to increase. His income improved. As work went well and his income increased, Ethan became kinder to me. And then, this happened. Now, I'm hospitalized and lying in a hospital bed. Of course, I got a medical report. It seems Ethan was informed. He messaged me saying, "I heard you were suddenly attacked by a woman on the street at night. Tough break." I reported it to the police, and I felt relieved. Yet, Ethan hasn't visited me even once. Not a single message showing concern. Even when I send him messages on Messenger, I only get stickers or he leaves me on read. It's shocking, even if our marriage is strained. I thought, is he having a good time with that mistress right now? Lying alone in bed, I can't help but think about it. I want to believe that Ethan is worried about me. The one who truly loves Ethan is me. Ethan belongs to me. From that phrase, I think that woman must have been Ethan's mistress. I had been suspecting Ethan of cheating due to his recent strange behavior. It seems I was right about Ethan. I finally came home from the hospital and was able to face Ethan. Although the hospital advised me to stay longer, I had things I needed to verify and couldn't stand waiting any longer. Why didn't you visit me even once? You didn't even send me a message to check if I was okay. I was suddenly attacked on the street. As I confronted him, Ethan just gave a wry smile and said, Sorry. I was busy with work. You know, being a lawyer is a hectic job. Are you angry? Well, I'll buy you a cake to celebrate your discharge then. He tried to lighten the mood without showing any real concern. Even though I was still bandaged up. He didn't show any anger towards the person who attacked me either. Hey, aren't you angry at the person who did this to me? Of course I'm angry. But you weren't seriously harmed, so isn't that good enough? It was dangerous. Can't you use your lawyer's power to punish the perpetrator? What do you think a lawyer is? I can't just dish out punishments like in some satisfying drama. Leave it to the police. Maybe, but don't you care about me? I do care. But worrying won't heal your injuries. I wanted to ask Ethan about not being registered at the law office and his non-existent lawyer number, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Determined to uncover the truth, I went to the law firm where Ethan claimed to work. The first person to greet me was the lawyer who had called the ambulance for me. How are your injuries? While my husband hadn't shown any concern, this person did. Yes, thank you, I'm getting better. I'm glad to hear that. I was worried. No, I should apologize for the trouble last time. Really, thank you so much. How can I ever repay you? Here, this is a small gift. I hope you like it. Thank you, I'm really grateful. I apologize for the late introduction. My name is Matt Owen. Lawyer Owen said as he handed me his business card. His cleanliness and polite demeanor gave me a good impression. Thank you. My name is Aaron Powell. To get to the point, is my husband, Ethan Powell, really not a lawyer here? I heard he worked here. He even has a social media presence. Ethan Powell. Lawyer Owen, with a puzzled look, repeated the name I mentioned. And then turned pale the moment he saw Ethan's account on my smartphone. This man. Do you know something? Excuse me. Ma'am, this person does indeed work at this law office. For a moment, I thought maybe the lawyer number was just a mistake until Lawyer Owen continued. However, he is not a lawyer. He's a janitor at this law firm. What? A janitor. But he had a lawyer badge. He might have forged it, or maybe he found a badge that another lawyer lost. It's surprisingly common for them to lose things. Or perhaps he stole it. Anyway, thank you for telling me. Speaking as a lawyer, pretending to be one is a violation of the law and a crime. So, I'm sorry, but we can't overlook this, and we will have to report it. Lawyer Owen looked apologetic as he spoke. Please wait. I don't mind the report, but actually, I've hired a detective agency to investigate if he's cheating on me. I was attacked by a woman who seems to be his mistress. So could you wait until the results come in? I'll report back as soon as I get them. Lawyer Owen seemed thoughtful. Understood. I specialize in divorce law. So if it comes to that with your husband, I'd be willing to help. Thank you for everything. I thanked him deeply, and Lawyer Owen nodded in return. The detective's results came quickly. As expected, Ethan was having an affair with that woman. During my hospitalization, it seems he had even let her stay at our house. Moreover, they had conversations like, I found that woman on the street at night and beat her up with a metal bat. Now no one will interfere with me and Ethan. Hey, don't go too far. What if you get caught? Such a bad woman. And well, it's easier without the nagging ugly wife. The mistress had hurriedly left the house when I returned home sooner than expected. However, the police investigation revealed even more shocking details. Ethan was indeed a fake lawyer. And the lawyer badge he had was one he found dropped in the office. Initially, he had only pretended to be a lawyer to impress others. But eventually, Ethan started engaging in fraudulent activities. Pretending to be a lawyer, he would get people to pay him retainer fees. Starting a social media was also part of his fraud scheme, luring victims. Engaging in debates about gender issues, politics, and political correctness online was just him getting carried away by internet arguments. But it also helped him in gathering victims. The reason for the increase in Ethan's income was, needless to say, due to the money transferred for his scams. I was happily oblivious, pleased that his income had increased and that he had become kinder. The mistress was also one of the victims deceived by him, entering into the relationship to potentially benefit from his influence. And as a result, she had been financially supporting Ethan lavishly. Lawyer Owen and I reported Ethan and his mistress to the police. It turned out that Ethan's claim of having reported my assault was a lie. He knew his mistress was the assailant and lied about reporting it to protect her. Ethan was arrested for violating lawyer regulations and fraud, and his mistress for assault. The metal bat used in the attack was seized, and my blood was collected from it. Ethan ranted. "I gave you a good life with the money I made. Don't report your husband just because you're jealous he cheated. Ungrateful wife. You bring such misfortune." It was complete resentment. I did not want any part of the money he earned through fraud. And it was only a matter of time before he would have been caught anyway. Naturally, I divorced Ethan and demanded compensation for adultery and assault from both him and his mistress. During this, lawyer Owen was a great support. Thanks to him, I was able to secure far more in damages than usual. Likely because the case involved both assault and fraud. The mistress claimed I was a victim of the fraud too. "Yet, you're not only reporting me but also taking compensation. That's cruel. I've already been swindled out of a lot of money by Ethan, and now I have none. Because of this, I've even been disowned by my family. Everyone is terrible. I'm a victim here. It's the wife's fault for not stopping her husband's fraud. It's only natural I hit her." Indeed, she might have been a victim of the fraud. However, what is she talking about after having committed adultery and assault? She is clearly also an offender. I have no obligation to forgive her. Moreover, the case she asked Ethan to handle involved her stealing from an acquaintance's home, so she was fully culpable. And there was no room for sympathy. The mistress had asked Ethan to settle the case cheaply and minimize the damage. And Ethan continued the affair, using this as leverage to extort money from her. I recalled that recently. Cosmetics and jewelry had frequently gone missing from my possessions. Especially right after I was discharged from the hospital, many items were lost. According to the police, it was indeed the mistress who had stolen them. With Ethan's acquiescence. Ethan apparently didn't care about my belongings. Despite having been caught stealing once, her bad habits had not changed. Including the case she had asked Ethan to handle. The mistress was also charged with theft. Naturally, I also demanded compensation for these losses. Ethan said the wife wasn't using them anymore, so he gave them to me. I'm not at fault. Even the case where she hit the wife with a metal bat. Ethan told me to do it. He said the wife was in the way. Then he persuaded me that it would work out in my favor. I'm not at fault. I was deceived by a con artist. I'm a victim. Punish that con man, not me. She's lying. I didn't know anything about her belongings being stolen. If I had known, I would have stopped it. I didn't know anything about the wife being beaten either. It was all that woman's doing. Please punish her alone. Ethan and his mistress tried to shift the blame onto each other during the police interrogation. Both were desperately trying to lighten their own sentences. Ethan's parents also visited him in detention, where a shocking truth emerged. His parents had also been deceived by Ethan's claim of being a lawyer. They had pressured him from a young age to become a lawyer. Despite his efforts and studying hard, Ethan failed the bar exam. Not wanting to disappoint his parents, he lied about passing the bar after starting work as a janitor at a law firm. Initially, he intended to make the lie true by continuing to take the bar exam. But after failing 5 times, he was barred from retaking it unless he passed a preliminary examination or completed a law school program, which he did not want to pursue. Unable to confess the truth to his parents, who praised him as the pride of the family, and having found a lawyer's badge in the office, he decided to continue the deception. Thus, I was also deceived. His knowledge of the law came from studying for the exams. Some of his stories about his struggles to become a lawyer were partly true. With his arrest and the ensuing media coverage, Ethan's life, smeared with lies, came to an end. His face and name were widely published, effectively ending his social standing. His parents, who once praised their son as the pride of their family, berated him during the visit, calling him the shame of the family and saying, "Your misdeeds have become such big news, we can't face anyone. We're sorry to Aaron. They even apologized to me. It's all our fault this happened. We're so sorry," they said, looking utterly exhausted. Ethan, disowned by his in-laws, sent me a letter asking for reconciliation, saying, "You're all I have left, I'll spend my life making it up to you, please don't leave me alone. I only used her to get what I wanted, and the only person I truly love is you." I immediately tore up the letter and didn't respond. His words meant nothing. If he truly loved me, why wasn't he worried when I was hospitalized after being attacked by his mistress? Why was he laughing with her about how good it was that the nagging, ugly wife was gone? He also wrote, "Are you divorcing me because I'm not a lawyer but a janitor? How terrible. Do you choose men based on their status? What is he misunderstanding? It's not about him not being a lawyer or being a janitor. The problem is that he pretended to be a lawyer, deceived everyone, betrayed me, and committed crimes. Now, Ethan has been dismissed from his job and isn't even a janitor anymore. No woman would choose a man with a status as a criminal." And then came the trial. The attack was so severe that, had lawyer Owen not called an ambulance, it might have been fatal, which led to the charge being elevated from assault to attempted murder. The question of whether his mistress had the intent to kill was rigorously investigated, despite her desperate claims that there was no intent to kill. And she only meant to hospitalize me, her words during the attack. "You should just disappear," indicated murderous intent, leading to a severe sentence, even for a first offense. Ethan, too, received a heavy sentence due to the egregiousness of his actions. It's almost comforting to think of them both in prison, though they're in separate facilities for men and women. Even if they were together, they would likely blame each other and split up soon. After serving their sentences, they'll be saddled with debt from the damages and compensation they must pay, especially since Ethan's fraud convictions might prevent them from borrowing money from banks. Their lives will be tough. This incident caused quite a stir on social media. A self-proclaimed lawyer, who was actually a fraudster involved in an attempted murder case against his wife, had been active in political and gender debates, leading to a massive backlash when the truth came out. Ethan's name trended daily. Reflecting on everything, some people have come out saying they always thought the lawyer was too ignorant, and that they suspected him from the start. Especially those who had conflicting ideologies with Ethan, or those he had attacked, were quick to say "I told you so" and criticized his entire philosophy. Those who disliked this reaction attacked Ethan's critics, accusing them of getting carried away. Somehow, the case also evolved into a debate about gender. It turned into discussions of this is why men or women are their own worst enemies. Criticism led to more criticism, escalating into political and gender debates, making the situation increasingly heated. However, as the saying goes, a person's gossip lasts but 9 days. And soon, the uproar about Ethan began to subside. I, too, became a focal point throughout this event, and the attention wasn't always sympathetic. Fortunately, my family and coworkers were supportive, but there were those who harshly questioned, "Didn't you realize your husband wasn't really a lawyer? Were you only looking at his status? How did you not notice he was committing fraud? Were you complicit, or just incompetent. Some even accused me of being an accomplice, claiming I must have known and stayed silent. Anonymous people on internet news also freely posted their speculations. I wanted to shout, "You know nothing." Why should I, the victim, be subjected to such comments? Yet, the saying that a person's gossip lasts but 9 days holds true here too. And soon the strange looks and wild accusations around me died down. "You've been through a lot," said Lawyer Owen, who not only provided legal assistance but also supported me personally, always offering kind words. "Yes, but thanks to you, I received compensation and managed to overcome the trauma." "Thank you so much," I replied. "I'm glad." I was worried about how things would turn out. "I really apologize for the trouble my husband caused. I'm also sorry for all the trouble I caused." "Don't worry about it. You were the main victim, after all. Don't mind it. Thanks to you, we managed to deal with a criminal pretending to be a lawyer in our firm. If we hadn't noticed, he might have caused significant damage eventually. I'm glad it didn't come to that. If it's okay with you, could we perhaps keep in touch, not just as lawyer and client?" His face was red, and I felt my cheeks warm up too. "Yes, I'd like that, Matt. If you would." And so, I began dating Lawyer Owen. Matt. Even after the professional relationship as lawyer and client ended, he remained incredibly kind. I expected some criticism from society, but it seemed the public had lost interest in the incident, and no one said much about it. However, my friends teased me about how much I must love lawyers. It wasn't about his profession, though. Sure, I fell for him through his work helping me. But more than anything, it was his character that I fell for. Still, I'm indeed relieved that Matt is a real lawyer. After all, I've had enough of fake ones.